Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is the end of February and we are coming together today because we are going to chat about February, how it went, kind of wrap things up before we dive into planning for March. And then also in this video, a request that I have gotten from previous videos when I talk about one of the goals that I put on my monthly vision board is weekly date nights or just date nights in general. I've been asked to give some ideas for date nights, and so I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of ideas that I have personally used with my husband. These are not extravagant, they are nothing crazy, they are fun, just simple things. So if that is of interest to you, let's get right into it. I plan out my month every single month utilizing a monthly vision board. So you've maybe heard of an annual or a yearly vision board, and I do that too, but then I take it a step further and I actually create a monthly vision board. If you are interested in a template for that, that is linked in the description box below, free for you to use. I utilize the website called canva.com. You can create a free account and get started there. I love it. It's just easy to use and you can access it from anywhere, even using an app on your phone, which is really nice. So we are going to quickly go over some goals that I set for the month of February that were based on larger goals that I set for the entire year, and then talk about some date night ideas. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, the top left corner of my vision board is always weekly date nights, and we crush that per usual. We'll talk more about that here in just a bit though. Next up are my personal development books and my goal to read 10 pages a day. That goal has gone really, really well. I also have, as a second part of that goal, is listening to 10 minutes of personal development while getting ready or while going on my walks. Now, I will say this one specifically. So I discovered that, my fiction books, a goal that we'll get to here in a little bit, the fiction books that I've been reading here lately are a part of a series. I've been reading a 6-book series, and it has been so good. And I've been utilizing the free trial of Kindle Unlimited. And what's really nice about this is those Kindle books I can read on my iPad, which is how I like to read them, but you can also download the audio. So when I go on my walks, I have been listening to that, and they're kind of like a thriller series. I'm reading the Stillhouse Lake series. So in the event that you're curious about what fiction book series I'm listening to / reading, that's the one, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I believe I'm on book 5 right now, and I've really enjoyed that. So instead of listening to 10 minutes of personal development, I've been doing more listening to my fiction books, but that's okay. I'm still getting my 10 pages in. And quite frankly, most days I read more than 10 pages of my personal development. I will read 15, 20, sometimes more if I'm just really into the book that I'm reading. So the books though that I have listed on here are not necessarily the ones that I always stick to. I just put some on there that I think that I might like to read. So I did in fact read the book called Grit, and that was a super good book. I have not read or started Good to Great, Great by Choice, or Built to Last. Built to Last was supposed to be the audiobook that I was listening to, but like I said, I've been kind of listening to my fiction instead. So the personal development book that I have been reading after Grit has been this book called The Power to Change. And this book is actually written by my pastor of the church that I attend, and it has been so good for anyone who is just like literally mastering the habits that matter most. So it is going to be more of a faith-based book. He references the Bible and verses from the Bible to kind of help make his points stick. So if you're a Christian, this would be a really good book for you. And when it comes to creating habits and goals in your life and really figuring out why you haven't stuck with those goals in the past and what maybe needs to change so that you can stick with them now. So I'm about not quite halfway through, but this has been a super, super good book. And what's really cool about this book is there are questions at the end of each chapter. So at one point I didn't think I was going to write in the book, but I always end up writing in my books. So at the end of each chapter, you have an opportunity to answer the questions and write in there. And I really like that as well. Okay, so the next goal over, I am doing 75 hard, and I have been loving that, absolutely loving that. I did just finish an 8-week workout program just a couple of days ago, so that was phenomenal. I got to do that with other women in my community as well, and that was just wonderful. Some other commitments that I made with that are logging my nutrition daily, just to kind of keep track of that. I do best when I'm being mindful of what it is that I'm eating, and the best way I can be mindful is when I'm literally tracking it. So while some people are like, oh, I can't even imagine, that sounds so boring and tedious to do that, while it is, taking care of my health is so important to me. And if it takes a couple of minutes to jot down what I ate for lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever, I'm okay with doing that because that's what's important to me. So doing really well with that goal. So we're gonna go back all the way over to the left. 12-week year, I'm still working away at that, but I'm gonna make a separate video to kind of talk a little bit about that because this is the second 12-week year that I've done. I did a video talking all about the 12-week year when I very first started it. A lot of you have been brought to this channel because of my 12-week year video, and I'm so thankful that you're here. And I will say that it is something that I am still working through. It is not a perfect science by any means on how I follow it, but I do love that it breaks things down. I love knowing what I should be doing and all of that, even if I don't always stick to what I should be doing. I have also kind of switched up my work week to follow a 4-day work week. If you don't know, I get to work for myself from home. I have been for the past couple of years, and I love getting that freedom and that flexibility to work on my time instead of somebody else's. And that 4-day work week has been so great. I haven't necessarily followed my Google Calendar. I'm learning more and more about myself that I don't actually like the constraints of having to stick to a very specific schedule. And on a Google Calendar, if you put those in there and you make them repeat week after week, that's more of a pretty strict schedule. And it turns out that I'm loving the freedom, and I worked really hard to have this freedom. And so it's like, why did I work so hard to have this freedom just to put myself back in this really strict schedule? I don't know, but I'm learning that about myself, and that has been really good. So next one over is my church goal, attend weekly in person. I have been doing wonderful with that. I started serving with the kids or the youth groups at my church. I get to work with some littles every single Sunday, and it has been so fun. And then I've been reading through Proverbs in my Bible. I finished that today actually because it is the last day of February. So crush that goal. That has been so good. Next goal over is being on time. I will say there aren't a lot of things that I go to that I have to be on time. Like, I have very few things in my schedule at this point that meet that criteria, but I have still been actively working to be on time for things, and it just feels really good. I just want to respect other people's time better, and I realized that not being on time in a way was kind of being disrespectful, and I hated that because I didn't want to feel that way. So that's been a really good goal to focus on. Our community event, we have one coming actually up this weekend, and I'm super excited for that. It doesn't technically fall into February. It will fall into March technically, but I'm still counting that as a win because it's going to be a really fun event, and I'm really looking forward to that. Next one over is volunteering. I have not actually volunteered anymore, but serving at my church has kind of taken over. That serving and that service piece at church has almost kind of filled that hole, or that I was looking to fill with that volunteer piece. So even though I haven't volunteered separately, serving at my church and getting even more involved by serving at my church seems to have kind of checked that box, if you will. And in a sense, it is volunteering because I'm not getting paid for it. I'm considering that goal checked, even though it technically falls in with my serving in the Life Kids area at my church. Next one over is weekly family dinners. That is something my family and I have been doing really well with for years at this point, and we continue to do well with that. And I put that on here, even though we've done really well with that for a really long time, I continue to put that on here because it's just important to me. And even though it's something that we already do well with, I want to make sure that I continue to make that be a priority in my life. So I just want to keep and make sure to keep that on here. Going down, I just had a friend weekend. I went out of town and I went and spent some time with friends, and that was wonderful. So can check that box off. All right, the next goal in is my February. We did a foodie challenge. So with my community of women that I get to help support during their health and fitness journeys, we were all things focused on food. And then we were also just doing something with the fellow partners that are on my team that I get to work with that are building this business as well. We did a little challenge. And so both of those went really well, and were just fun to really be intentional about some of those things and to bring that focus for that month. So next one in, Financial Peace University. I have been continuing to watch some of those videos. Some of them I have watched more than once because I do feel like they are such good videos, number one. But number two, sometimes you have to listen to something a couple of times to really let the concept sink in. And so that's kind of how I've been treating that. So next goal in, I have my read 30 minutes of fiction daily and eat lunch away from my desk. Reading fiction daily, I have been crushing that. I've done, like I said, I've been listening to a lot of the fiction. Now that I figured out I could listen to it and I could read it. A lot of times I will read right before bed, but I'm usually so tired that I maybe only read a couple of pages. It's definitely not 30 minutes. So what I have been doing is I've been pairing when I'm sitting away from my desk, out of this room, and typically at our dining room table, outside if it's nice, I am sitting there eating my lunch, and then I will just prop up my iPad and I'm reading while I am eating. So that has been a really, really good goal, and I'm so thankful that I kind of added that. I added that this past month, that I was going to read for 30 minutes. I got more specific with that goal. And in being more specific with that goal, I find that I'm doing better with it. Prior, I just was saying read fiction. Well, read fiction is very open-ended. Read a lot of fiction, read hours of fiction, read 5 minutes of fiction. And so now that I have 30 minutes of fiction, and I have always had it paired with my lunch away from my desk goal, it just makes sense, because then it's kind of forcing me to take 30 minutes for lunch. It's also giving me 30 minutes to sit there and read, which is so enjoyable. The next goal we're gonna go straight down is creating my Q1 content calendar for this YouTube channel right here. And I did do that. I have my calendar up here and I have it pulled up. I have little sticky notes representing all the different videos that I'm wanting to do. However, I want you to know, if you have a video request, please drop them below. I'll be honest, I felt kind of in like a video slump of like, what do I even have to share? What do I even have to give right now, or, provide? Because I feel like my movement towards my goals has been a little bit more slow going. And when it's slow going, we're less motivated and less excited to talk about it, but that's the reality. Sometimes goals are going to be a little bit slower to achieve, and that doesn't make them less important, and that doesn't make the work that you're doing less valuable. And I've had to kind of give myself some pep talks through that, because I still have value to share, and I know many of you are enjoying the videos and appreciate when I put videos out. And so I want to make sure that I'm providing that value. I love being in this space. I've wanted to do this for years, and now I'm here. I don't want to fall back to not doing it at all again. So if you end up having any ideas or requests for videos, please let me know. Some of them are kind of out of like my world of understanding or, being able to teach, at least at this point. But for now, if there's anything that you want me to touch more on, or maybe something I can take a concept and make it into a full video, let's talk about that, and I will try to get that done for you. Oh, another part of that goal is to batch record videos, which I did not do in the month of February, but I am planning on doing in the month of March. I want to get them batch recorded so that I have more going up. And then weekly posting schedule, I still haven't narrowed down necessarily which day I want to post. I'm thinking Wednesdays. I know a lot of people said Mondays, some people said Fridays or the weekends. For me, editing wise, truly, it comes down to, more than anything, editing wise, I have the ability to edit earlier on in the week, which makes posting consistently on Wednesdays seem more realistic, but I don't know for sure. But I'm just being honest with you of kind of where my head is at this point. And then I have a minimum of 4 videos per month, and with this video, this is my 4th video for the month of February. So technically, check the boxes on that goal, other than the batch recording of videos at this point. For Teachers Pay Teachers, I have kind of put that on the back burner, and I'll just be honest with that. I have, with my personal business that I am running, there's a lot of changes coming, a lot of focus needs to go there, a lot of attention is being spent there, and that's not something I'm going to regret or feel badly for. I am diving and taking little baby steps. That's one of those goals that I was referring to, where I don't feel like I'm making a ton of progress, so I almost don't feel like I have as much value, or, I'm not as motivating, because I'm not doing much with those goals. But I have to be realistic that sometimes goals are going to have to either take a back seat for a moment, or they're just going to be much slower going because other things take priority. And I know that, and I have to be okay with that. So that is kind of what's happened with that goal. Still very much something I want to do, still something I'm wanting to work towards. It's just slower going, while my priorities right now are focused on my main business, because TPT is ultimately just something that I'm wanting to try to do on the side. It's not actually something that's like providing any sort of income at this point. I have hopes that maybe someday it will, but at this point it's providing me none. Granted, I haven't really done much with it, but I'm okay with that, and I need to focus on the things that are bringing me that income so that I can live my life, pay my bills, all of those things. The next one over is the weekly learning using like Skillshare, Procreate, all the things. I haven't necessarily used those, but I definitely have been learning a lot. Like I just kind of alluded to, the company that I partner with is going through lots of changes, and name changes, and focus, and just what we stand for, and missions, and all of that. And so that's been a lot of where my learning is going and where my focus is going. So I am definitely doing a lot of learning, but it wasn't necessarily using those platforms that I have listed there. But that goal, definitely would say that is still checked off. Next one over is days with my niece Scarlett. absolutely love getting to spend my days with her, and she is why I've developed this 4-day work week, because I spend 1 day a week watching her and we get to hang out and have so much fun. We do different fun activities, fine motor skill activities, and hanging out with friends and just getting that social time for her. But more than anything, just that aunt and niece time has been such a blessing in my life, and it brought so much joy for me. And so I just want to make sure that that continues to be, again, a priority. Even though that's already happening weekly, it's still on my vision board because it's something that's so important to me and matters so much to me that I want to make sure that I keep that on here because it's so special. And then the final thing is I put the goal on here to declutter my husband's clothing. However, through a discussion with him, he was like, I will be a part of that process, so please don't take anything away until I have okayed it or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I can respect that, and that is just fine. So no more decluttering in that sense has happened, but I've continued to just anything around my home. If I'm finding, like, if it's clothing or if it's something in my kitchen or anything, and I'm like, this, what do we even have this for? Like, why do I still have this? I have been just like slowly but surely just decluttering more and more little things throughout my home, which has felt so good. And it's amazing how the less stuff you have, the better you feel about your home. It's the less you have to clean, it's less you have to worry about, the less clutter, like so many things. And that is how I felt about my home here lately. And I am so, so thankful for that. So that is everything that is on my February 2023 vision board. What we did, it was a very successful month overall. I love doing these videos because I sit down and I literally go through this and I kind of give myself like, okay, what did we do? What did we not do, more importantly? And then what do we want to keep doing moving forward into the next month? What doesn't take priority or what doesn't need to be on here moving forward? What do I maybe need to add? So I love these videos. I love going through this. And I hope more than anything, obviously my goals probably mean nothing to you, but I hope more than anything you can see that a lot of these goals or actions are just really, really simple things, but simple things that are really, really important to me. And that's what your life should be full of. Your life should be full of things that are simple, that take, yes, some intention, but are important to you in the life that you're trying to live. Because if they're not, number one, you're not going to do them. But number two, even if you do them, you're going to be like, I don't even care. So when you do things that matter to you, you feel really good about that. And that's what life should be, right? So let's wrap up with talking about some weekly date night ideas. So over the last couple of months, a couple of different things that my husband and I have done. One, we've gone and shot guns. So that is something that we have loved doing. We've been together for years and years, and that is something that he and I have always liked to do. Even though we're kind of still in the winter months, we had a really nice day a couple weeks back, and that is what we did. We actually did that. That was like our Valentine's Day thing together. You know, some people are going out for fancy dinners and all this stuff. We're out shooting guns and having a good time with that. So, of course, we were safe, you know, took all precautions, all of the things, but that's a fun thing that we were able to do. Some other things that we do, we'll just go out to eat some of our favorite restaurants. Like, again, nothing crazy, but I do want to point out that something that we do when we go on our date nights, like out to eat, the phones are put away. And I know that's so hard, especially because a lot of people work from their phones or they need to be available or whatever that might be. But I highly encourage you, because there was a time where we were going out to eat, but we both end up on our phones. And then it was like, what was the point of that? Like, we didn't even communicate. Our relationship is better when we're having those deep conversations, when we're just talking about each other's days and the phones are completely put away. So a lot of times I will put mine completely in my purse where I can't even see it, and I have it on Do Not Disturb. He will have his to the side. With his work, he needs to be a little bit more readily available, but he will just turn it over so he's not distracted by it and it's sitting at the end of the table. That is so, so crucial. I want to point out that if you are going to eat somewhere, put those phones away, and I promise you it will change the experience altogether. And even, you know, sometimes people are like, well, I don't know what to talk about. We don't have anything to talk about anymore. I promise you, you will find things to talk about. Just put those phones away, and I promise it will make all the difference. Some other date night or date day activities that you could do. My husband travels some for work, whether it's delivering loads of hay or whatever that might be. Sometimes I just ride along with him. Like, I just get to go, not because I have anything to actually do, but it may be an hour or an hour and a half drive where he would otherwise be by himself, and I have the flexibility with my work. So obviously that is very, very special for me, but I will just hop in the truck and ride with him, and I will provide him company, but then that's just an opportunity for us to spend time and hang out together. Another thing that we did last week is we went to a family friend. They have a child who plays basketball in high school. We went and watched his basketball game. Like, we both enjoy sports. So that was something that we were able to go and do together. Again, such simple things, but we're getting out and we're doing things and we're just experiencing life together. And that is just so, so special. And so I want to just encourage you not to overcomplicate it. I think sometimes people get so caught up thinking that their date night needs to be some like elaborate thing. I don't personally think it does, but I'm a very simple person when it comes to that. Like, it does not take much to make me happy. Quality time is my love language. So it doesn't matter what we're doing. We can go and we can just have a good time. A couple weeks ago, we went down to the river, built a bonfire. Bonfires are one of my favorite things. Built a bonfire, sat around that, and just enjoyed the river bottom and the bonfire and just spending that time together. So again, getting outdoors, doing things that you're already probably doing, but putting the phones away and just really enjoying that quality time with one another. Figure out something that both of you enjoy doing. We haven't done it in a really long time, probably been close to a year at this point, but we go and play tennis sometimes. That's something that neither of us are super great at, but it's something we can like go back and forth. We can volley or whatever it's called in tennis. I'm not sure. Is it called volley? I don't know. In volleyball, it's called volley, but I don't know what it's called in tennis. But you know, you can play back and forth and it doesn't have to be something super competitive, but you have that opportunity as well. So those are a couple of the date night ideas that I wanted to share that we have done that have brought us so much joy and have just allowed us to continue to strengthen our relationship, which ultimately that is the point of my weekly date night goal, is to continue to strengthen my relationship with my husband. I want to live and be with him and have this happy and very long, wonderful life. And that doesn't happen by accident. That happens by continuing to work on the relationship and put energy and time and intention into that relationship. And when you do that, that's when it flourishes. Just like anything else in life. Plants, you have to give them time and energy and intention in order for a plant to grow. No different than anything else. So I hope that those weekly date night ideas were helpful. If you have any weekly date night ideas that you like to do with your spouse or significant other, drop those in the comments below so that we can all benefit from that and maybe get some new ideas. Otherwise, I hope that this wrap up of the month of February has been helpful and entertaining. And I would love to know how your February of 2023 went. Did you crush it? Were there goals that you thought that you were gonna do really well with and then maybe didn't touch on at all? Were there things that you ended up realizing you didn't actually care about that much? Like, let me know how your February went. Do you overall give it a thumbs up? Is it kind of like it was fine? Or is it like, no, it was not very good month? Like, let me know in the comments below, and then you can be expecting the March plan with me very soon. So I will be talking to you later. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. I would love to see you back here for future videos. And if you have any thoughts, of course, leave them in the comments below. I appreciate your guys' support so, so much. I want you to know that I appreciate the love and respect that you guys give me. I am just a human. I am just doing things the best that I can. We all have different viewpoints and different ideas, and all I can say is that I respect you respecting me, and I will give that same respect right back. So until the next video, we'll see you later.